Hey guys, welcome back to the first official season of the Controller Collective podcast. Today we have a very special episode since the Switch 2 recently released.
Oh yeah, baby!
Yeah!
We're back.
Did you guys know that the Switch 2 is the fastest selling console of all time?
Yeah, I heard about
I
that
did
today.
know that.
3.5 million units in 4 days.
It's kind of crazy.
That's pretty impressive.
I mean, like, considering some people saying, wanting to do a boycott and other people, saying, like, a lot of opinions that are flying for Switch 2 right now. It's surprising.
Yeah, and wasn't the PS5 sales over its lifetime like 10 million? So 3.5 million in 4 days is a really impressive number. I would be interested to see how that number evolves over time.
Yeah, I think it took the PS5 like a couple months to sell this amount. So.
To be fair, the PS5 when it had those supply issues and scalpers.
Well, scalpers still count towards the sales.
Well, true. You're not wrong.
To Nintendo's credit, the scalpers are failing pretty badly because there were enough Switch 2s in stock that the scalpers aren't able to make much of a profit because there's enough in stock for everyone.
Funnily enough, I've seen I've started seeing, I'll just start doom scrolling Facebook Marketplace sometimes, and I started seeing Switch 2 scalpers on there a little more frequently.
That's a crazy place to doom scroll.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't need your judgment.
A funny statistic that I saw is that the Switch 2 is already a quarter of the way to the Wii U's lifetime sales.
That's fucking crazy. A little asterisk here. The PS5 apparently sold 50 million units.
Oh, so I'm just completely making numbers up. GG.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
My bad.
Speaking of PS5, do you guys hear about how they cut the price for the PS5 Slim to try and take the wind out of the Switch 2 launch?
I had no idea. I don't pay attention to
You guys didn't hear about that?
I didn't.
No, not really.
Yeah, hold on. How much did Sony drops prices? Sorry.
How far are we into this? He's already Googling something. Some things never change.
I've Googled two things now.
Gotta fact check yourself.
Yeah.
No, the whole thing, you just gotta be confidently wrong. Like Talon was when he said 10 million sales of the PS5.
I think Talon has consistently been the one who spreads the most misinformation in our recording. Like our first ever episode, Talon told us that GTA 6 was coming to Switch 2.
Yeah, that was not confirmed anyway.
I love spreading misinformation.
Source?
No, it was probably 10 million for a different console. You said Wii U had 10 million or so. That's probably what I saw, and I just mistook the number.
Just to clarify, Sony cut their price for the PlayStation 5 by $120. So now it's only $400 for a PS5.
I saw articles saying that, okay?
So technically cheaper than the Switch 2.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, they really wanted to take the wind out of Nintendo's sales. It looks like it
Didn't work, but
The thing is, PS5 is kind of old now, which is weird to say, but
it's only like 5 years old.
4 or 5 years old, and I feel like at that point, everybody, not everybody, but most of the people who want a PS5 have probably gotten one by now.
Yeah, and the novelty of the PS5 is worn off by now, whereas Switch 2, it's 4 days old as of recording, so it's still really new.
4 days old as of recording. What are you talking about? It's almost been a week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, right, because the midnight release was a week ago from today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, technically tomorrow, but
Time flies.
Time flies. Speaking of midnight release, Talon and I went to the midnight release.
yeah.
Yes, we did. Peyton did not.
No, I was visiting family.
Yeah, but it was really fun. Got to go to hang out at GameStop for like an hour.
Yeah. What was that experience like? I heard a lot of people saying that the midnight release of Switch 2 kind of felt like a callback to back to when midnight releases were like a big thing, kind of early 2010s, late 2000s.
I can't really say anything about that because I never went to midnight releases back then because I was a child.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could definitely see how these are a lot of fun. Meeting a lot of people who are getting the same thing you are. So we went to my local GameStop. We waited for about an hour, just hanging around in the store, making jokes, watching Sonic movie 2.
And Pokemon.
Yes, they put on the Sonic movie, the Nintendo launch. It makes sense.
Original Pokemon as well.
Yeah, we watched Bye Bye Butterfree.
No, that episode's so sad. Why were they playing that?
Because it's like the most iconic episode, probably aside from the first one.
Yeah, it is probably of like the original season. It definitely is.
So yeah, we're waiting there for about an hour, like I said. Then we get tickets. We also got raffle tickets, but I didn't win anything.
There were raffle tickets?
I don't know what the prizes were. They looked like just like cardboard stands that they had left over. I think first place got an eShop gift card. So we're standing in line. They give priority to the Mario Kart bundles, even though there were more of them compared to just non-bundles. So
Seems like a strange choice.
yeah, we're just waiting in line. I think 30 or 40 minutes. I'm not exactly sure how long it took us. But I was playing Pokemon TCG Pocket.
I was critiquing the Pokemon episode on its inaccuracies.
Yeah, like...
That's the most Talon thing ever.
He was being so... I don't know, he was just yapping.
Bro's yapping.
Yapper's got a yap, what can I say?
I mean, it was like 11:30 at night, so I get it, but... Yeah, so I'm like... How many red tickets were there? Like 50?
45-ish, I think.
For a small GameStop, yeah, there's a lot of people there, and they had a lot of systems.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a pretty significant amount of people. Especially if it's the GameStop, I think it is.
So I was like number 60 overall, somewhere around there. So it takes us like 30 to 40 minutes, but go up, get the console in the bag, take a couple pictures. I'll put a picture up on the screen if I remember. And we head over to Best Buy to get Mario Kart.
That's because the bundles were sold out when you tried to get your pre-order, right?
Yeah, well, when my friend or my family member that went to go get my pre-order, he just got the non-bundle because they were out of bundles. He could have just gotten Mario Kart there at the same time, but he didn't. So I just ordered it online from Best Buy.
Good old Best Buy. Is that your go-to store for games?
Most of the time, yeah. Because it's just easy to order online and then pick up in store or just have it shipped. They usually do like 2-day shipping.
So you're like Scott the Woz in that regard.
Well, I don't know. It's just, online shopping is so much more convenient.
Yeah, you're right. I like my go-to store when I would buy physical games was always like Walmart, but that's just because my family's go-to store was Walmart, and there's not really Best Buys near where I lived growing up. So
Walmart gang, let's go.
I remember like the feeling of excitedness when you had to like go hunt down an employee with my parents so they could unlock the case and give me a game.
Please, Mr. Employee, can you unlock this game for me?
Yeah. Whereas Best Buy, they let you it's like in a case that somebody unlocks when you check out, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so you went to Best Buy?
Yeah, so we go to Best Buy. There's a super long line there that we have no idea if that's like, are these people who are here to pick up their pre-order or are these people who haven't pre-ordered? So
Yeah.
my cousin who's with us, he's the one who pre-ordered the console for me. He goes to the back of the line just to hold a place in case we have to get in line. Talon stays by the car to guard the Switch 2 that I have in there.
Put some respect. Defending.
Oh, sorry. Defending the Switch 2. I don't want any of these hungry people who didn't get a pre-order. I don't want any of them to break into my car and steal it.
Yeah. There's crazies out there.
Yeah, so I go up to the front of the line. We all split up and do our respective roles. I go to the front of the line to talk to the Best Buy employee at the front. I'm like, hey, I have a pre-order. And he says, oh, okay, wait a minute for this person to come out of the store because they're only letting in like 2 at a time. He's like, so are you here for a console? And I'm like, no, I'm just here for Mario Kart. And he kind of just gives me this weird look.
I just need Mario Kart. I need my fix.
And then the person at the front of the line, who I've now found out is just for people who didn't get pre-orders. They're like, oh, why does he get to go in first? And the employee's like, oh, sorry, pre-orders get special treatment. It was kind of like a joke, so. I go in, and then someone comes out, so I go in, and every Best Buy employee that I walk past, I have to explain to that I'm only here for Mario Kart.
I bet most of them thought you were pretty stupid.
They're like, oh, you need something to go with that. You need a controller, some other game. So they're trying to sell me all this other stuff that I don't want.
And you're like, nah, I know what I'm about. I need that. I need my fix, man. I need my fix.
Yeah, I need to look at the cartridge for Mario Kart without the Switch itself.
Lick it, see if it still tastes bitter like Switch 1 cartridges.
I think they do. I haven't tested it myself, but
yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to test.
Probably does.
Fun fact, it's only happened to me. I've tasted that taste only once, and it was on accident, and it's so horrible.
I've tasted it once. It wasn't my cartridge, though.
It wasn't your... Whose cartridge was it? No comment?
No comment.
Was it Peyton's cartridge?
Let's say they might be in this call right now.
I don't know. Probably wasn't mine.
I'm surprised you don't... never mind. Never mind. Let's just move on. Yeah, so I get the game, walk out of Best Buy, and go back to the car. And I signal my cousin to come back to the car. And we drive home carefully, very carefully.
No, you weren't hitting any whippets out there? Just
No. If you know Wisconsin at midnight, if you know Wisconsin at midnight, there's deer everywhere.
You should have been playing Mario Kart in real life. Just start fucking drifting.
I was still defending the Switch 2. I was making sure that console didn't go anywhere. I had full lock over it.
So you were like designated defender of the console, weren't you?
Yeah, I was defending it the whole way.
I was not paying attention.
I hope you were paying attention. You were driving.
Well, I wasn't paying attention to you.
Good.
You're in the back seat.
It would be one hell of a story if you did hit a deer, though.
No, that would not have been cool.
It would have been a story, not a fun one or a good one.
We did have some pretty interesting midnight conversations. You could tell we were all tired.
Do you remember any of them?
What conversations? I don't remember them.
You don't remember? Okay, never mind then.
What do you mean, never mind? I want to hear this. This is lore I haven't heard about.
I'll probably remember if you bring it up.
Talon did his classic of asking ChatGPT some very stupid questions.
I did?
Talon, why do you insist on using AI for everything?
Sometimes it's funny. I need to figure out what the heck I actually asked it.
Anyways, we get back and we unbox the console, and it sure is a bigger Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, like a significant amount.
Yeah, it's like a lot bigger. I can't really like describe how big it is unless you're like holding it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a pretty good upgrade, and like the build quality on this is very nice. The Joy-Cons have really good texture, and they all the buttons clicking are very satisfying.
Yeah, especially the Joy-Cons like attaching to the console.
Oh yeah, the magnets are much better than the rails.
Yeah, they're so satisfying, I have to say.
Screen also very nice. 120 hertz on the screen. 1080p. HDR. Sound like I'm doing a commercial right now.
New Rumble. Better Rumble?
HD Rumble 2.
Yeah.
Jarek was glazing that nonstop on the first night.
It was good. I like it. When you drive across like a wooden bridge in Mario Kart, you can like feel the rumble, and when you've got these zebras or whatever running next to you, you can feel like their footsteps.
Yeah, and just for like full transparency here, I have not had a lot of experience with Switch 2. I literally was just playing it for the first time today, a handful of hours ago. So
I'd say you two have spent like similar amounts of time at this point. Although I guess Talon, we did play for how long? 4 or 5 hours that one night?
About 4 hours that night, and then it was a few hours in the morning as well.
Yeah, we played a ton of Mario Kart.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a lot of although courses feel a lot longer than they were in 8.
Yeah, I guess we should lead into our actual thoughts on Mario Kart World.
Yeah, good segue.
Does anyone want to start it off?
I'll just start out, I guess. I think it's a big upgrade from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is a hard thing to do. I think just having the ability to have the open world and then go between the tracks it's a really cool feature, and it makes it so that even though there's only 32 tracks in the game, there's I think over 100 or 200 different layouts that you can go through because it's transitioning between the courses as well, and that adds a lot of depth. Like, it's going to take a very long time for people to master this game compared to other Mario Kart games.
Technically, there are only 30 tracks because you play on Crown City and Peach Stadium twice in the Grand Prix mode.
I did not know that.
So would you say you're a fan of these quote-unquote straight line sections?
I think I'm a fan of them, mostly because of all the chaos it creates with the items. Because the items, oh my gosh, you get hit by an item, you're so far back immediately. It's very punishing, and I think the chaos that creates is very good for the game.
My feelings on it somewhat differ from Talon's in that I feel more like, not that the new Mario Kart is bad or anything, I just is worse than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's just really different, a really different experience. So I don't know if I would use like the word like better necessarily. It's just such a different experience for me, because with all the new, like, there's not that many new items, so that's not really as big of a factor into it as much as how many more riders there are in a given race makes it so that so many more items are occurring all the time. And it means that unless someone somehow got a massive lead, that there's always going to be this really chaotic competition for spots, and nothing like just kind of stays. in a solid way. So it's like this really chaotic and fun experience, especially with friends. And I would say that it's more just a different experience than 8 than it is necessarily like an improvement or better than 8. That's my like initial feelings on the game after playing it for like about 3 hours today, I'd say.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely very different. Like the drifting feels completely different. It took a very long time to get a feel for that. And then the items that changed also make it feel very different. I personally just see it as an improvement. I have never been a huge fan of Mario Kart games in general, but I had a lot of fun playing this one. And I don't know if it's just that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has gotten boring for me or what, but I only have like 50 hours playing that game, but I don't ever remember having the same kind of joy as I did when I played this game.
I'd say I am mixed, but like I'm leaning towards better. Like I do like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe like a lot. I like 200cc. I'll be honest. I know a lot of people don't like it, and that's not in this game. So to me, it does feel slower at some points, but like
Really?
in other ways, it's a lot faster paced because you're always worrying, especially Knockout Tour. I think Knockout Tour, which we haven't mentioned yet, is like the real sticking point of this game for me. Where it's like, this is a super fun game mode that has never been done before in a Mario Kart game. And like, it gives you an incentive, it gives you actual stakes to be in those top positions. Besides just, you know, being first place in the overall race.
I will say that I think I wanted to mention this earlier, but the new abilities that you have in 8, or not 8, sorry, World? What's the actual name of this game?
Yeah, Mario Kart World.
Yeah, thank you.
It doesn't even
like
know the
the new
name of the game
abilities,
we're
like-
talking about.
It's just the new Mario Kart, man.
Such a forgettable game that he forgets the name after one day.
I don't own it, okay?
You played it for 3 hours.
It was probably more than 3 hours. It was like riding on.
I think it was.
Yeah. The new abilities is such a mind shift from 8 too, because like the super jump and wall riding, I was not making effective use of them that much because it's like a completely different. The way that you go about looking at stages is so different. Like it's a lot more like, when can I make it? Like, can I make a trick to get on this wall? Or, oh, I need to do a super jump here to get a rail so I can get a bigger boost and stuff like that. Like, it's such a, like, the way that you look at stages is so different. And I did not do a good job of, like, taking that into account when I was playing. But, yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, I was just about to go into the new mechanics because they really open up a lot of new possibilities with the gameplay and track design. Tracks feel a lot more open now with like multiple different paths that you can take. And I really like Nintendo's really good at this with their game design, like introducing these new mechanics but not making them feel like necessary, because like you can just race the tracks without rail grinding or wall riding or anything and you'll still be fine. But if you want that like little bit of extra speed boost, you got to learn how to go on the rails, on the walls. And like, I don't know, I really like finding these, because like I feel like almost every time I play a track, I find this new route that could potentially be faster, or a new place to wall ride to squeeze out an extra trick.
Yeah, and I was definitely feeling that when I was playing. I think now would be a good time to touch on the way that you can travel between stages, but also talk about Knockout Tour as well. I think we should mention that now, like go more into depth. We mentioned Knockout Tour earlier.
So yeah, the Grand Prix mode is a little different in this game. First race is always 3 laps, but then every other race after that is 2 sections of driving to the next course and then 1 lap on that course. So there are a lot of mixed opinions on this, but overall I think it's fine because you can still select all the 3 laps in versus mode. So I like it. I like that they tried something new, that it's not just another Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense as well because you've got this big open world Mario Kart game, but if you have the Grand Prix as the same format it's been for the last however many Mario Kart games, then the open world kind of doesn't matter. But by making it so driving between the tracks is part of the race, I think that's just a really nice way to incorporate that.
Yeah, I believe they said in their developer interview that we feel we've mastered the 3 laps, then 3 laps style with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so they wanted to try something new, which, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe kind of feels like the penultimate of what, like, Mario Kart 7 was leading up to. Like, that type of driving. Like, Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart 7. I feel like that type of style, like you were saying, I definitely agree with the developers in that. It kind of feels like it got as good as it could get in 8 Deluxe. So it really did feel like the series was due for a big change like this. So in terms of that, I think it was definitely a smart move on the side of the developers there.
I might be getting a bit ahead of topic here, but if this is the change they're making for Mario Kart World, like it's so game altering, what do you guys think they're going to do for the next Mario Kart game? Is there going to be another Mario Kart game?
I mean, eventually there's gotta be. Like, it helped sell 3.5 million Switch 2s.
I don't know what they would do. I wonder if they would... I think going forward, they're probably going to try and expand on this formula more. I don't think they would go back to how it used to be. At least I feel like they wouldn't. But who knows, you know? The next Mario Kart game is probably like a long ways off, though.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they could try and make the race transitions more seamless. Like, instead of finishing 3 laps, then seeing the results screen, and then driving to the next course, I think you just finish the 3 laps, then start driving to the next course without going through another menu.
That would be cool.
I'm just wondering if they'd even go for another open world Mario Kart game, because this game's been in development for 7 years since the start of...
Ever since the end of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they pretty much said they started on it.
Yeah. So if it took that long to make this game, then it'd probably take a similar amount of time or even longer if they want to make another one. So are they going to do that?
Would they, though? Because, I mean, they have the bones for something like this. Like, in my mind, you know, before they were working from scratch, but now they have the bones. They know kind of what to do if they had to make another open world one. So I don't know if it would take as long, but it would probably take a while. But even if it's going to take a while, I think it's worth saying, like we said, another Mario Kart game is like a long ways off. So if they really want to preemptively start making another one soon, you know, I wouldn't see it being that big of a problem personally. I don't know how Jarek feels.
I mean, also along with that development time, it's not exactly like a truce. Like, they weren't constantly working on it for all 7 years or 8 years. Because, like, they started development for the Switch 1, and they said they were having a lot of issues with that until they learned about the Switch 2 in, like, 2021 or 2022, they might have said. Probably 2021. And, like, that's when they started working on the booster course pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to, like, tide us over for a bit. So it wasn't like full active development for 8 years.
Speaking of DLC content, do you think we're going to see DLC for Mario Kart World soon?
Soon, no. Eventually, yes.
See, I'm hoping there's not even DLC for the game at the price point it's at. Like, maybe free DLC or updates, but...
I can see them adding free costumes because right now the costume distribution among the characters is not very even.
No, it's bad. It's so bad.
Mario, Luigi, and Peach have like a ton of costumes, and then someone like Pauline and Donkey Kong only get one extra costume.
Yeah.
This might be an unpopular opinion or a little bit nitpicky, but I actually really disliked the new character select screen with the way it has like all the costumes for a character in order.
No, that's not unpopular at all.
Okay, good.
Everyone says that.
Yeah. A lot of people have been complaining about that.
Yeah, I wish it was just like the old Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. God, I hate calling that old. But you would click the character and then the different skins for the character would be options that you could then choose. So I don't know why they changed it to having all of the different variants on the character select when it was... I feel like it was just more effective before.
Yeah, especially when you're playing in 4-player, the menu gets super cramped, so there's all these pages you have to scroll through if you want to get to a character towards the end.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about Knockout Tour a little bit. I guess I've already said my thoughts on it, how I really like it, but someone else can say what they think.
It's such a chaotic experience, and I really enjoyed it. Although I got a little tilted while playing because Jarek's cousin, reoccurring character here, was playing with us, and I kept trying to get into, so like there's a cutoff at 8 and 4. I could make it to the cutoff at 8, but I couldn't get past the 4 to the final like lap for or course for knockout tour, and I was so close. And then he fucked me.
Whoa, okay.
Screwed me over. He threw a boomerang into a crowd of people, and it made us all spin out, and it created this long like cataclysm of events where I kept getting screwed over, and I got into 5th but couldn't make it past 4th, and I got a little tilted, I will admit.
You get comboed so easily by items in that game mode. I guess we should also explain how it works for those who don't know. You play 6 sections of a super long race along the whole map. At the end of every section, the bottom 4 players get eliminated until there's only 4 left. Yeah.
It's a super fun and chaotic. It really leans into the chaotic and open world like part of aesthetics, not the right word, but of the game.
Yeah, I guess my opinion on Knockout Tour, I love it so much. I think it's definitely a step up above Grand Prix, especially in this game. I think it's better than Grand Prix in any previous game as well. It just reminds me of, there was this mobile game that I played when I was like 10. It was called Riptide GP2, and it was like a little jet racing game on the water. You were on jet skis.
Oh, yeah.
And my favorite mode in it was just this knockout thing where the back couple people get eliminated every so often, and this is exactly what Mario Kart World's doing with Knockout Tour, and I love it. I may get eliminated in the first 2 waves every single time, but I don't care. I'm having a blast.
It is kind of interesting how you just have to sit there and wait if you all get eliminated, or if you get eliminated in that first, because the mode does take like 10 minutes or so to finish, so you could be sitting for up to 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like you have to be, I mean, I would say you have to be really bad for that to happen, but sometimes you just get so unlucky.
Yeah, especially if you're playing online.
The golden mushroom will kind of save you, but...
Oh, the golden mushroom's the best item in the game mode.
Yeah, 100%. It will save your butt.
Mega Mushroom's also pretty good because you can go through the off-road with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a whole item. We could make a whole item tier list or whatever.
Flash it on the screen.
I just learned today you can dodge blue shells with a giant mushroom.
Yeah, it makes you invincible.
I had no clue.
Yeah, there's a lot more ways to dodge blue shells now.
Yeah, Kamek Orb gets F tier.
Definitely.
Do you want to go into your Kamek Orb rant?
Yeah, I guess. So, there's two different types of characters in Mario Kart World. You've got your main characters, and these are like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, all these characters that have costumes available to them. But then this other category, and some of these main characters you get from finishing Grand Prix. But then you have this other category, which is called the NPC drivers, and these are all your weird enemies like Conkdor or Fishbone.
Pianta.
Sidestepper.
Pianta. And the only way to unlock these characters is by getting hit by the Kamek Orb item, which is a new item. But it's so bad. It's so bad and so annoying to try and get them all. You have to, one, not be the one to pull the Kamek Orb, which is the most annoying thing. If you pull it, you cannot get hit by it. So it is useless to you if you pull it, because it basically doesn't do anything else. It spawns some obstacles on the track that are pretty easy to avoid. That's about it. 2, the Kamek Orb really only hits the center of the track. So if you are off-road when an AI uses the Kamek Orb, you won't get hit by it.
That's crazy.
3, the Kamek Orb is a rare item. You only see this item like once a knockout tour or once a Grand Prix or whatever. So it's very rare that you'll even get a character. And 4, the character you get turned into is random. So you could get turned into Spike 4 times in a row when you're trying to get Fishbone. Not that I would know from experience or anything. There are a few secrets to it, like specific maps will give you higher chances of having different characters. Like if you go to Peach Beach, you're more likely to get the Cataquack. Or if you go to Koopa Troopa Beach, you can get the dolphin.
There's a dolphin?
There's a dolphin.
Oh my goodness.
I went through the arduous journey of unlocking every character.
Was it worth it?
And it was so... No, well, kind of. I like the Conkdor. But like also the best way to do it is to play on 50cc, so the race goes longer and you have more chances of and CPU pulling the orb.
How less chaotic 50cc?
It's so boring.
It is.
Knowing you, I would have thought you'd love 50cc.
Why would I love 50cc?
You love it. It's so fast.
Oh, it's so slow.
I remember distinctly when I played when I played Mario Kart. It was either DS or 7. I was much younger at the time, and I would not venture above 50cc because I didn't know what it meant.
I remember in Mario Kart Wii, 50cc was karts only and 100cc was bikes only. So I would always play on 50 because I was like, oh, I don't want to be on a bike. Bikes are lame.
Even though, aren't bikes the meta in that game?
Yeah, bikes are way better than karts in Mario Kart.
Yeah, but they're lame. They have the inside drift. Get out of here.
Worthy of pointing out, I said this in my very first impressions of the game, I'm pretty sure. I mentioned that Mario Kart World felt a lot more like Wii to me than it did 8.
What do you mean by that?
I think at the time you commented on how there's more items, which makes sense. And I think it's also because there's not a customization of carts. There's like presets that you can use, but you can't customize them, which I think it works fine for the game. I think those are the big reasons. It kind of reminds me of Wii.
Isn't the customizable carts exclusive to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe?
No, it was in 7 and regular 8 as well.
Oh, okay.
I think as well, maybe the graphics a little bit, because the style changed in a way, away from 8 a little bit.
Well, yeah, 8 was based on like this new Super Mario Bros. Style of Mario and Bowser and all them. And now that we've had Mario Wonder, the art style can really go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we have the new Donkey Kong.
Yeah, he's based off his movie design.
Yeah, Donkey Kong rework. New design. Did they make him look like that because in the upcoming game he looks like that?
I mean, probably. They could have just been wanting to move away from the Rare design in general because Rare made that Donkey Kong design and they're owned by Microsoft now. So, I mean, they have been owned by Microsoft for a while, but
yeah, a long while.
Now that Nintendo's finally making their own Donkey Kong game again, they probably want to give it its own identity.
I think we've been talking a lot about World, and this was supposed to be an episode about the Switch too.
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. That's like the only first-party game, unless you want to talk about Welcome Tour.
Yeah, that's how it is. But I think we should touch on the Switch 2 itself a little bit more, because I'm sure we all have thoughts about that.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I think where I want to start is the Joy-Cons. So actually, me, Jarek, and his cousin, when we were playing today, we dug up my old copy of Nintendo Switch Sports. So we actually got to see the improved motion controls of the Switch 2 controllers. And I must say, it is thoroughly impressive how much noticeably better the Switch 2 Joy-Cons are at doing motion controls compared to Switch 1 Joy-Cons. Like, they're not perfect. We found our limits for sure, but the motion controls are noticeably easier to use and better at tracking what you're doing than Switch 1 Joy-Cons.
Yeah, it was a lot longer before we had to recalibrate or they got lost or something. Maybe I should go back and try Skyward Sword HD and see how the motion controls are in that game.
Yo, you should. It should be said that I very briefly used mouse mode. What I saw of it, it worked really well, but from my understanding is that Talon used mouse mode a little more extensively than me, so I think he'd have more to say on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the mouse mode, it kind of blew me away with how effective it was, because I was sitting here thinking, okay, well, you have this mouse mode, but it's probably not going to be that efficient, especially if you don't have like a hard surface or whatever. So first time I use it, I grab the Joy-Con and it works perfectly on my leg. Just no issues whatsoever. And I was just playing around with that mode for a bit. But the one thing that just stuck out to me that I still don't fully understand is for the sensitivity for the mouse mode, there's only 3 options, which it's labeled low, medium, and high. I don't understand why they don't just add some form of slider to customize it a little more, because if you ask any like PC gamer who uses a mouse, who would kind of be the target demographic of this mode, they all have very, very different sensitivities. I'm generally on the higher end of sensitivities for computer gamers, and I think even the low sensitivity was a little bit higher than my normal sensitivity. So I think Nintendo just needs to add some kind of customizability to that. Otherwise, it worked great.
In our first episode, we philosophized a lot on how they would actually make a mouse work that you could just use on your leg. And man, they pulled it off so well. Like, we didn't think it would work, but it works.
Yeah, I really like the mouse mode, but my main gripe with it is there's just nothing to use it for right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't.
Like, there's
Welcome Tour.
There is Welcome Tour. That would have been a great way if it was packed in with the console. But, like, other than that, I think there's, like, Civ 7 is out right now. There's Fortnite, which has mouse controls.
Do they put you in a different pool?
I don't know. I haven't played Fortnite on Switch 2. I know the mouse mode works on Fortnite. I know they said it would work.
I have a feeling that if you use mouse mode, they have to put you in some alternate kind of matchmaking pool. Because knowing what I know about console gaming, I'll use Overwatch as an example because that's the game I know most. It is a huge issue on console that there's players zimming, which means you basically connect a keyboard and mouse to your console and you're playing with keyboard mouse controls on a Xbox or a PlayStation or whatever, and that is a massive, massive advantage to the person who is doing this because they also get the benefits of aim assist, which is given to console players because it's harder to aim on a controller. So if people on the Nintendo Switch 2 are able to use the mouse mode and get aim assist and be pooled in with the same console players, that's a bit of an integrity concern to me.
Yeah, other than those games at launch, like the big mouse games are the Mario Party upgrade, which comes out in July, and Metroid Prime 4, which still doesn't have a release date.
Yeah. Yep. I wonder if recently Nintendo released a trailer for a spin-off game for the Splatoon series that I'm really excited for. And I'm curious if they would implement a mouse mode or not. I don't think they will, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Because I know as a Splatoon player, I talked in our first episode of Season 0 a lot about how mouse mode in a Splatoon game would change the meta. Although this spin-off game, obviously, not the meta, but, just how the game works in general. Anyway, this spin-off game doesn't actually look like it's a multiplayer game. It looks like it might be a survival game of some sort, which is a very interesting choice. It looks cool. But, yeah, just wanted to throw that in there.
I'm surprised they're not adding mouse controls to their Splatoon 3 free update, but I guess that would kind of make it disadvantageous for Switch 1 players like Talon was talking about.
Yeah, that'd definitely be pay to win unless they put the Switch 2 players in a completely different matchmaking pool, but that would just wreck queue times.
Yeah, pretty much.
I actually wanted to talk about this Splatoon spin-off for a bit because I want Nintendo to put their variable pricing statement. I want to put that to the test because if this game is a $70 game when they're explicitly calling it a spin-off, I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Like if this is like a $40 or $50 experience, cool. I'm on board with it, depending on like how big the game is gonna be. But it doesn't. They haven't shown that much of it, so if you're going to say it's more expensive than Splatoon 3 when you already have a single-player campaign in Splatoon 3, I just don't think that's right.
Yeah, me too. I would be very upset with Nintendo if they would price the spin-off at that point, because I feel like spin-off games normally are not always, but sometimes shorter experiences than a mainline game. And not as big as a mainline game. So I would be fairly upset with Nintendo over that because, like I said, if I'm not going to get that many hours of your game, why should I spend that much money on it? That's my feeling towards pricing a lot.
Yeah, and Splatoon 3 has that endless replayability of being an online multiplayer game. So
yeah, exactly.
Going to be implementing variable pricing, but we haven't seen that yet because only Mario Kart's come out and Donkey Kong has been priced. So I'm interested to see what future releases will be priced at.
Yeah.
I would love to have an opinion on this, but I haven't seen anything about the Splatoon spin-off game. I didn't see the announcement or anything.
Yeah, so that's not surprising. You're not really jacked into the Splatoon world.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if there is going to be a direct this month. If they're just dropping this out of nowhere. Does that mean no Nintendo Direct in June?
It kind of feels like it might not be, huh? Because this definitely is direct material.
But then at the same time, they didn't even give a release window for this game. They said nothing about when it's coming out.
To be fair, there's a lot of
Which makes
games
me wonder how much
with no release date where it just said summer or July. Like Dragon Drive, still waiting on a release date for that.
Yeah, but they didn't say any. They didn't say winter. They didn't say 2026. They said nothing about a date.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So we have even less information.
Number one Dragon Drive defender, not defender, like enjoyer, is among us right now, by the way.
Game, it looks so good. I don't know how people aren't more hyped for that game.
I think it's just like the way they revealed it. They're like, okay, this is our big Switch 2 Direct. Here's Dragon Drive. Especially if they're not going to give a release date, they could have saved it for like just like what they did with Splatoon Raiders. Just post about it one day.
Yeah. I think they didn't want to just post about it because that would get significantly less traffic than the Direct, since it's a new series, you know? I would like to touch on a little bit more on the console itself here. One thing, as somebody who basically exclusively plays their Switch in handheld mode, Jarek was showing me the Switch 2 in handheld mode, and not only is it much bigger, something that I really appreciated as somebody who really enjoys music, since I am a music student, the speakers are so much better as well on the handheld, which is great. And it can reach much more impressive numbers in handheld as well. So if I get my hands on a Switch 2 one day, I'm going to very much look forward to that experience of handheld being a lot better. And like Switch 1 was already fairly decent. So yeah.
I mean, I feel like the handheld mode jump is like even better because Switch 1 was locked to 30 FPS in handheld mode. So now like potentially getting up to 120 in handheld is like such a huge jump. Especially for competitive games.
Yeah, and a lot of people shat on Switch 1 for 30 FPS locking. They're like, oh, what is this? What year is this?
Yeah, even in docked mode, there were certain games locked to 30 FPS. Like Paper Mario or stuff like that.
We tried to do Game Share today as well. And it was an interesting experience.
I can see how it would work well for some games, but we tested it for Super Mario 3D World, and it was just like the most pointless thing ever.
Yeah. I would like to see it implemented in Mario Kart, but I think they're not doing that because it would mean less sales of Mario Kart on Switch 2s, potentially. Because, as Jarek said when we were playing, it would give everyone their own screens instead of having split screen.
It's just not on that many games right now. I think it's like 5 games you can use it on, which are Clubhouse games, Mario 3D World, Mario Odyssey, Toad, Captain Toad, and Big Brain Academy. And like, who cares about Big Brain Academy or Mario Odyssey these days?
Truth.
That's only the Switch 2 edition. That's not out yet.
You did. Oh, really?
Yeah, they specify the Switch 2 edition on the website. So, which when that comes out means you can only share it to other Switch 2s.
That sucks. I guess we have no experience with the C button yet, so we can't really speak to that.
Yeah, I unfortunately do not have any friends on my friends list who have a Switch 2 right now, so no C button test.
Yeah.
I can pretty much interpret how it will go, and it will be bad, so.
I'm sure there's footage somewhere on YouTube of people using the C button and the camera feature.
Can you speak to the fan? Like, how well is the cooling of the Switch 2?
After we played Mario Kart for like 4 hours on the release night, it was pretty warm, but like it could have just been warm in that room we were in. But I mean, I don't know, it felt pretty warm. I feel like unless you're doing those long 4 hour sessions of 4K gaming, it probably won't be that bad, but
Yeah. Shout out to when PS4 Pros try to go to 4K and they sound like helicopters. I was gonna mention something else other than the C button, but I think I lost it. Oh well.
I guess while you're trying to think of that, I'll just throw in a pro tip for any Switch 2 user right now. I saw a thread on Reddit, and it's a piece of advice for with the Switch 2 to keep its battery better, because it is a lithium battery. So when a lithium battery is at 100% and still charging, it reduces its battery life over time. So if you're not a handheld user, so if you're not Peyton, then there's a setting you can have it so that the battery only charges up to 90%, so that your battery won't get higher than that while it's still charging, but it'll improve the battery life over the long time. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah.
yeah, there's also an issue where the battery meter isn't reading correctly, so you'll get down to 1% but still have like an hour of playtime. So
Really?
Nintendo has issued a way to fix this. You have to boot it in maintenance mode, so you hold down the plus and minus on the volume slider and power on your system, and once you do that, it should fix the issue. It doesn't affect the actual battery life, it's just not reading correctly, because that happens when these sit in a storage container for so long.
We're getting close to where we might have surpassed our 1 hour mark here. Is there anything else anyone wants to say regarding Switch 2?
I mean, do we just want to go over overall launch thoughts in general? Was this a good launch? Did it deserve the 3.5 million units it sold?
I think it did, for sure. But I don't know how other people feel. I know how other people feel. There are opinions flying on the internet, and I feel obligated to put this here. In fact, I wish I put it earlier in the podcast, because, viewer retention and all that. You guys are more likely to hear. There's more people likely to hear this. I just wanted to say that with this launch, I feel like a big thing that I've seen kind of the return of is a lot more toxicity when it comes to the gaming space that we kind of saw a big decline on recently. Like when the new Xbox and PlayStation 5 launched, the kind of like sort of toxic console war-y rhetoric that a lot of gamers used went away in a lot of ways. People stopped, like, not that everybody stopped caring, but a lot of people stopped caring. And now we're seeing, I feel like, a return of a lot of toxic kind of behavior from in the gaming sphere. And I just really don't like that sort of thing that's being brought. Like, you see a lot more people than just, a few angry loud voices saying that the Switch 2 is a scam, or that people are stupid for buying it, and judging people and condemning the entire company of Nintendo for this action. And in no way I don't feel like $80 is justified. I think I made my point very clear on that when we first tackled that news. I don't think it's worth saying that other people's joy in this console is a bad thing, or that people are stupid for buying the console. If they bought it and they're really enjoying themselves and it's bringing them a lot of joy, why try and shit and piss on that and be toxic? Just be happy for them that they're enjoying their thing. Yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to say on that topic.
Yeah, like Peyton and I don't have beef now because I bought a Switch 2 with Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Man, what a terrible person you are for purchasing a Switch 2 and supporting stupid Nintendo company, SMH. Unfriended, blocked.
Like I've said on a previous rant, I think Nintendo is a really special company because it's one of the few, like the only company that still exists that makes their own consoles and games, and they make all of their profit off of that, whether it be merchandising or consoles or their games, unlike Sony and Microsoft. And I feel like that's really important. In no way am I justifying everything that Nintendo does, but I think as a company, they're really special. And it just kind of hurts to see people who are basically, pardon my like aggressiveness here, but sucking the dicks of major corporations like Sony and Microsoft and saying that Nintendo sucks. But yeah, that's kind of my final thing I wanted to say on the matter.
Talon, do you have any thoughts on the launch or midnight release experience in general?
I think the console's really good. I wouldn't say it's like surpassing expectations. I think it like met my expectations for what a Switch 2 would be. The mouse mode it excelled in, but we have yet to see a solid game that implements that. Other than that, yeah, I mean, pricing, of course, people are going to complain about prices when they increase. That's just something that's always going to happen. And it's clearly affecting people's views of the Switch 2. I think we should be basing the console more off of the value it's giving for the price it costs, which I think the price increase for the quality increase is warranted in this case.
Yeah. And I don't think the console is overpriced at all. I just think Mario Kart probably shouldn't be $80, but the console itself is a good price.
Yeah, again, I think it probably should have been 70, but if they want to go 80 and they have data saying that it's going to be the better decision for the company, who am I to blame them?
What about you, Jarek? Anything closing on Switch 2 you wanted to mention?
Well, seeing as I'm the one who is going to spend the most time with this console, I want to push all that aside for now. I want to push the console aside, and I want to talk about like how I felt. Like June 4th and June 5th, they're going to be special to me from now on. Like getting that experience, especially with friends, you know, staying up all night with Talon to unlock Rainbow Road and finally playing on it was such a magical experience. And, you know, this being my first ever full cycle console launch and getting to share that with friends, and then you guys coming over to try out the Switch 2 was such a fun experience, especially for this podcast as well. So to me, I think that justifies the price in and of itself. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more games, a lot more fun to be had with this thing, but just in this first week, I've already been like so lucky to share this experience with you guys. So that's my sappy take at the end of the episode.
Oh, hey, I agree with that take.
Yay!
Well, I'd like to just do a short State of the Union address here, if you will, on podcasts going forward, because there's some big things that we're doing, because now we're looking to up the quality of our production here.
We have a new logo, Peyton, if you want to give a shout out to that.
I was going to say, first things first, as you guys will probably notice at the time of uploading, we actually have a logo now for our channel. This logo was drawn by a commissioned friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. It goes by the moniker of Inkling with a 1 in it. Jarek should put a credits in our description now. underneath
in the description.
Yeah.
I will remember.
Yeah. And they'll also be making a banner for us for the channel. They haven't started working on it yet because I still need to provide a reference image, which I'm going to make soon. And I just wanted to give a huge shout out to her for doing that for us, because she really didn't have to. I kind of came to her with my hat in my hands, like, I want a logo, and she was like, well, I'm not really, I'm an artist, but I'm not really a like designer, but I will take my crack at it, and I think she did a great job. And secondly, of people that we kind of bringing on who are helping us now, a very good friend of ours, who I do have permission to shout his name out here. So he goes by the name of Sawyer. He's studying music production, and as such, he's really good with audio. And he is going to be editing our audio now. So a huge special thanks to him. I don't know if he wants me to shout out his music or not, but you can find him on Spotify. I'm
going to shout it out. Go check out his music on Spotify.
Yeah. The only reason I'm like hesitant to shout out his music on Spotify is that his full artist name is his full legal name, so I don't want to dox him,
That is how it usually works for artists, though.
Yeah, true. So yeah, you'll see him in our credits as well. So huge shout out to you, Sawyer. Put a funny sound effect in now if you want, or a voice clip of if you want.
Hi guys, cool episode.
I want to say we're also now on Spotify, so please go check us out on Spotify. Day and date with these episodes, so if you prefer to listen on Spotify, that is totally up to you.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it if you go check it out over there.
And it should be
Talon, you got one
Talon
last thing?
has a thing to tell us as well.
I do.
Yes.
What do you mean you do?
We're going to be having a lot more clips on the channel as well. On our YouTube channel, we'll have a lot more clips posted. We're also going to have a TikTok and an Instagram. Check us out there. Follow us, whatever. Hopefully we can pull in a few more viewers with that.
Yeah, so
links will be in the description when they're available.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to be having a social media presence too now. And I just really wanted to say, we're a small podcast, and, there's a stereotype around podcasts, about, everybody has a podcast and stuff like that. But it's a fun thing to do. And I really appreciate any loyal viewers that we may have, people who listen to our whole episodes, especially if you made it this late into the episode. Honestly, we should have addressed this at the start of the episode, but I forgot.
Yeah, this should be at the start, but
I guess we could edit this into the start if we wanted to, but
no, that's too much work for Sawyer.
So to anyone who listens to our full episodes, got this far, thank you so much for being a listener. Even if this is your first episode, we're not expecting for this podcast. I don't think any of us, our expectations are to become popular or anything like that. So to just have even cracked 50 views on one of our episodes is something special to me, and I think for everybody else here too. But don't let me talk for you if it's not.
Nah. Million subs by the end of the year.
So yeah, that's about all I have to say. I hope you guys are going to enjoy the kind of increase in production value we have. Also, for anyone who listens this long, because this is going to probably be our longest episode now, you should be on the lookout, because we're going to be taking on guests in our future episodes as well. So you won't have to just listen to us three drone on for an hour anymore. We should have guests in the future as well. So keep an eye out for that.
Oh, also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you appreciate the jump in editing quality instead of just a static image. So just another bump in production value.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of work going forward, but I enjoy editing. So,
Well, I think that's all we have. So, as we always say, join us next time for whatever we decide to talk about.
thank you so much, and see you next time.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.